interjected, we're incredibly unified. The other side is a mess right now. Their party's run by Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I feel very comfortable in the position that we're in.
While we're on the topic of Congressman Gaetz, do you think he should lose his seat on the Judiciary Committee?
I think it's an issue for the Republicans to work out. The rules require that someone who is indicted stand down and be removed from their committees until the judicial process works itself out. He hasn't been indicted yet, so let's see what happens.
How concerned are you about Congresswoman Tlaib's tweet about no policing, no incarceration, hurting Democrats in 2022?
Well, we're focused right now on getting the work done that is in front of us. And as Vice Chair Aguilar mentioned, the most important thing that we can do with respect to transforming policing in America is to get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act over the finish line. We've passed it in the House. There are ongoing discussions with the Senate being led by Representative Karen Bass, who's done a tremendous job in trying to bring people together. Those discussions are bipartisan and bicameral. I've participated in some. I think the urgency of passing transformational police reform legislation has only increased in the last few days, the last few weeks, with the events that have unfolded, including in Minnesota, as it relates to Daunte Wright, including in Virginia, as it relates to the targeting and pepper spraying of an active duty Army second lieutenant who was in uniform, as well as in the evidence that has been presented as it relates to the trial of the murderer of George Floyd. So I think the focus remains on passing police reform legislation that is transformational so we can shift policing from a warrior mentality that exists in far too many places to a guardian mentality. Because when you have a warrior mentality, you tend to view certain communities or communities of color or low-income communities or immigrant communities as enemy combatants. And if you view them as enemy combatants, then you see the types of tragedies that we've seen unfold before our very eyes. If you view them through a different lens, a guardian mentality, which is what the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act is all about, then you look to partner with communities of color to lift up public safety for everyone. So that's where our focus is and will continue to be. Pete?
Congressman, just to follow up Ms. Gates' question, do you feel like Congressman Gates should resign?
No, I always take the position that every American, no matter their position in life, is certainly entitled to the protections of due process relative to our laws as it relates to the investigation that is clearly unfolding and what may ultimately lead to an indictment. But that remains to be seen. I think the bigger problem has been highlighted by former Speaker John Boehner. The Republican Party is totally out of control. It has been radicalized by a twice impeached former president who perpetrated a big lie that the election was stolen from him, as well as numerous other conspiracy theories connected to the deep state. They are out of touch with reality in large measure. We continue to be the party of big ideas, of jobs, of the American Rescue Plan. They are the party of Dr. Seuss, conspiracy theories, QAnon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Matt Gaetz. That seems to me to be a problem, but perhaps it's for the Republicans to work out.
We're now 3 months after the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, and you still don't even have an agreement on the composition of a 9/11 style commission to investigate it. Speaker Pelosi said yesterday that she might have to abandon that idea and just do a select congressional committee, which you guys have not wanted to do. Can you just give us an update on how much time you can give Republicans to agree to some sort of 9/11 style commission? And if not, would you agree to
Well, let's see where we land on that. And I'll have a few things to say, but I want to yield to our vice chair, who also is a distinguished member of the House Administration Committee.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. What we're focused on is getting to the truth. That's what we want out of a commission and a discussion about January 6th. Tomorrow, the House Administration Committee will have a hearing. We'll talk to the Inspector General, and we've received reports, and so we will formulate, questions that get to some of these issues. But we're focused on specifics that will help. We're focused on how we move forward, what we need to do from a training perspective to, help the Capitol Police. These are folks who help us each and every day and protect us. We need to make sure that they have the proper training and that the proper command and control in order to do their jobs. And so that's what the House Administration Committee is focused on. This is going to be a series of discussions and reports that have been mentioned and written about publicly. So we're focused on, and the caucus is focused on, getting to the truth. And so we feel that the commission structure is the best. But we do have options, as the speaker mentioned. We do have continued options to try to get to the truth of what happened, what the right timeline was, who knew what when. And we look forward to digging in and playing our role, providing oversight.
Quick follow to that, if I may, because Pelosi also announced that President Biden will be coming to the Capitol on the 28th of this month. What are you being told about the heightened security surrounding that?
Well, whenever the president visits in a formal setting, the next level is the national security designation that trip is given. And so Secret Service will take the lead on that event. So it has a heightened level of importance and oversight. And so we feel comfortable. I feel comfortable with the planning that will go into that event as a result of the president visiting the campus.
Yeah, the Capitol is an attractive target for those who want to do harm and make a statement, or perhaps for those individuals who suffer from mental illness or emotional disturbance. It's clear, based on the events of the last few months, both the January 6th insurrection as well as the events that tragically led to the death of Billy Evans, and we certainly stand with and support and lift up his family and salute the sacrifice that he made, the ultimate sacrifice. But these are issues that we hope to continue to be able to work through from a security perspective and do it in a bipartisan way for the good of the American people.
Are you in favor of removing troops from Afghanistan?
Well, I'm interested in hearing the president's proposal, which he will articulate at some point later on this afternoon with his speech. I do think that 20 years in, we can't continue to do the same thing and expect that we're going to get different results. It can't be an endless war. And for the first 10 years, the focus, appropriately and successfully, was on crushing al-Qaeda, and that was done. Over the last 10 years, a lot of time and energy and resources have been spent in trying to train up the Afghan military and the Afghan police forces, and I believe that our military leadership and our troops have been able to train over 500,000 members of the Afghan military and police forces, and hopefully they now have a professional police force, a professional military that can provide for the safety and well-being of their people, particularly women and children, and also prevent Afghanistan from becoming a safe haven for terrorists once again. I've been to Afghanistan. It's a rough part of the world. And this comes from someone who comes from a rough part of Brooklyn. It's a rough part of the world. But we can't be the policeman for the world either. It's not our job. And so I'm interested in hearing what President Biden has to say. I support the direction that he is moving in. Thank you, everyone.